Hello, it's Ruby and I'm currently in Devon. I'm staying in a tiny thatched cottage in the Devon countryside, and this morning I have actually just been working. My plan for this trip is to do writing. However, there's this research grant that I'm applying for. I'm very unlikely to get it, but I'm still applying, and the deadline's tomorrow, so I'm just finalising my application and submitting it. I'm about like 10 minutes away from having that done, and then I am going to go on a walk down to the beach, which I'm very much looking forward to, so I'll put you on time-lapse whilst I finish it. Now, this wasn't necessarily the best way to start the trip, but it was remarkably cosy. I actually really enjoyed doing this, and it's good to get done. Like, I felt so great after this was submitted, and so I'm glad that I put aside that time as opposed to coming back and forth and doing it in between other things during the rest of the trip. I said that this would take me not very long at all, but of course it's taken me ages. I'm too perfectionistic with things like this. Okay, that's submitted. Amazing. I'm going to go on a walk now to the beach. I was going to do some writing before leaving, but it's already 11:45 and I spent way too long on that. So I'm going to do some writing when I get back. I'm actually going to have my soup in a teacup. So it's going to spit. Okay, I'm gonna head out now finally to go to the beach. I had some soup quickly, but I might get something down at the beach too because they have a very nice beach cafe. Okay, let's go. I'm walking to the beach now and these fields are just extraordinary. Oh my gosh. Like, look at all that farmland just stretching as far as you can see. At one point, when I was still between the narrow hedgerows which stretch out from the village, I was met with clouds, entrancing of silvery ice. Hiding the sun, they took her power and sent a curious cool light over the fields and oceans below. The sun could no doubt stop such things if she wanted to, but no, she said instead. No, you take it, letting her light trickle down like a sort of rain through the empty clouds. The fields grew ethereal and heavenly, and in that moment I understood the other world, felt it calling from beneath the mists where sprites and spirits play. There was also a field of sheep with curious yellow flowers, which too looked like they had been borrowed from an alternate world, a single field taken from the spring which soon will greet us. I almost wondered if they were pretendings when I saw it. It just looked so disparate, so beautifully disparate, within the barren January landscape. Wow, look! Oh my gosh, the tide is in so far. Look at that. Look how high the tide is. This is my favourite part of this walk. I've done this walk many times, and this is definitely my favourite part because you're so high up that you can see the ocean. You can see it just sprawling out in front of you, and you can see the whole of the bay. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy, so content right now. Obviously, it's always so special to do things with other people, and I do really enjoy the kind of back and forth exclamations of like how wonderful one site is, but when you're by yourself somewhere, you just notice all of these tiny details so much. There were so many moments where I was forced to pause because the beauty was just too much. Wow, I just literally cannot get over this view. How is that real? How is that real? I love beaches in January. I think winter beaches are so much more beautiful than those in summer. But as I was walking down this beach, I felt so aware of my fleeting mortality, of the expiry date on youth, and as I ran the length of the beach, this beach which I visited so many times as I grew up, I felt so alive and so thankful to be alive. It was cold, nearly freezing. And then I had this thought. It's like as I was walking along the beach, I thought to myself, what would I do now if I knew I would die tomorrow? And so I took off my shoes and socks and I waded through the biting cold ocean until my toes were red as currants and utterly numb. And then, aware of its wonderful fleetingness, the fact that this moment would end, I danced in the space where the sea meets the sand, making circles with my feet. The air was salty and damp, and my toes were red and completely numb, but I did not stop. Still I did not stop, because the world was breathing with me. Oh my gosh. I'm just overtaken with it. I feel so grateful to be here. And as I was running along the beach, I was just thinking about, that time-old and incredibly cliche question, what would you do if you only had a day left to live? If you were in this moment, right in the moment that you are in now, what would you do? And I was walking along the beach and I thought of that and I was like, I would go in the ocean. I wouldn't be worrying about getting my feet sandy and wet and getting cold. I would just go in the sea. And so I did that. I took off my shoes and socks and I went in the sea, even though it was freezing. And I just felt so alive and so happy. And it's something we know, but it's also something we can let ourselves forget. At least I know I can let myself forget this. But the things that make you happiest and the things that will make you feel most alive and most connected to the earth and most thankful that you're here are the really simple things. And like running around a field or going in the sea or spending time with someone you love, like they're such simple things. And if you let yourself live those moments and really kind of like live in those moments, then you feel happy. Then you do feel happy. I don't know. Sorry. And I'm also sorry because I know that's something I've definitely said before, and I know it's not a new thought in any capacity, but I also think it's one that we need to remind ourselves of often, which is why I still wanted to say it. Oh, and look, talking of that, this old farm building here, how beautiful is this? And then we can see the headland and the sea. And then over here, this site is the one that keeps on making me want to cry as I look at it. The lines of sun and the way that they've slanted over the fields, it's just extraordinary. Oh, and I also think this field is filled with yellow and the grass is so high and there are sheep and it genuinely looks like it could be April. I kind of can't believe it's January. Every year when January comes, I realise I actually love January as a month because culturally, no one likes January, and so it's very easy to fall into, okay, well, everyone says January is their least favourite month. Yes, January is also my least favourite month. It's not a very good month. But whenever I'm actually in January, I realise it's actually quite wonderful, and I love the cold and I love the coziness, and I love kind of, the clear night sky, and I love the bleakness of January because then when you see the really, the sprouts of, I saw some yellow buds earlier, when you see that, when you see, the sun blooming through, those things are so beautiful. And I do think in spring and summer, the beauty of individual flowers and individual things can become clouded by the beauty of it all. But in January, we're able to focus on like very specific things and almost like meditate on the beauty of specific things. And I think that's a unique quality that January has. By virtue of its bleakness, it becomes singularly beautiful. Okay, I promise that's the last time I'll show this for you, but oh my gosh. I'm just making some pasta. I can hear it making strange noises. Oh yes. Since I got back from my walk, I had a shower and then I've been sitting downstairs planning, and I've started doing a bit of writing, but then I started making dinner. As a little starter, I have some carrot and coriander soup in a teacup. And after dinner, I'm going to write another chapter. So warming. Okay, I've got my delicious dinner. I've got spaghetti with tomato sauce, and then I've also got some of the vegan cathedral cheddar, which is my favourite. I think it's the only good vegan cheddar, personally. Other people disagree though. Some people love vegan cheeses. Of course it's amazing. I only bought one coffee bag with me, they're the Emma Chamberlain ones, and so I've used it for yesterday's coffee and today's coffee. I'm surprised that it's so strong still. It also tastes really good. The shadowy spirit of summer's light and glory still loitered in the air. The moon was not risen above the hills. Mr. Norman was waiting in the lane for the moonrise, leaning on the gate, leading to a meadow where the hay had been dried and raked into wakes. An indistinct whiteness passed slowly over the field in front. He watched its phantom-esque quartering, its sudden disappearance as it dropped to the ground. It rose again and beat with broad, silent wings down the hedge bordering the roadway, passing within 2 feet of his head, feathery legs dependent, dark eyes directed downward. The winnowing of its wings sent a wind against his face, but came no rustle of feather. Passing onward over the hedge towards Sker went the barn owl. He heard a throaty, weird cry, and knew that it had gone to its young on the rafters. Clumsily, hitting the hedge and whirring among the leaves, like spun silver coins, little white moths hovered and drifted over the fallen grasses, finding the night-opening flowers under the hedgerow where the curved scythes had not swept. He wanted to remain there all night, one with the glowing darkness and its mystery, but there, he was no longer young, alas. A corncrake in the distant wheat field began its jarring continuity of song, the afterglow still lighted in the west where the sun had dipped. The moon was a long time in coming, but he would wait for it to rise before going home. So I walked down to the nearest village because I was hoping to get a coffee at the cafe, but all of the coffee shops are closed, so instead I'm going to walk down to the beach. So I did this walk down boggy pathways and into sand dunes so tall they blocked the sea. Here I took off my shoes again and jumped the contours which had been familiar in childhood. There was only one set of walkers, a couple with a dog, who watched me run. They looked slightly bemused actually as I ran shoeless down the dunes and onto the beach. The tide was starting to rise. Soon the rocks would be covered once more, moving in the same circles they have been tracing since our birth. So cold. I just got back and I'm absolutely freezing. Oh my gosh, so cold. I had an iced latte as well when I was at the coffee shop, which probably didn't make any sense at all. I should have had something warm, but I'm so cold. And then I was waiting at the bus stop for ages, which again made me very cold. But it meant that the bus was such a luxury experience. I feel like a bus after a walk when it's really cold is just the best thing ever. And you know, when you're walking, so I sit up against the radiator, when you're walking, you kind of have in your head that there is this particular bus which you're going to be able to get, and like it's always in my head when it happens, where I'm like, oh, I might get the bus, I might not, because in many cases I can't find the bus stop or I'm not in time for the bus or whatever, and then I miss the bus and I have to walk instead. And so it just, I don't know, there's something about actually catching the bus when you're really, really cold and it's saving you on walking further in the cold, and it's just, it just feels like such a treat, and it feels so warming. And that bus felt like that, and it was really empty as well, and I got the front seat on the top of the bus, and truly that is one of my favourite things in the whole world. Like a countryside bus where you're on the front row of the double-decker, it's just one of my favourite things. Like if I made a list of my 100 favourite things, that would be on there. That's how much I like it. That's actually a really good idea as well, to write a list of your top 100 things ever. Oh, I kind of want to do that. Maybe I will do that today while I'm journaling. Anyway, I'm going to make some tea, because as I say, I'm very cold. My hands are like ice blocks. The trusted kettle. You know, I was a teenager before I ever used an electric kettle, which is quite embarrassing. People have asked me, like, you know, how on earth did you go that long without using one? And it's because my family always had one of these kettles, like a whistling kettle. Because my parents really like old-fashioned things, quite in the same way that I do. And so I'm very confident using a whistling kettle, but I didn't use an electric kettle until I was about 15. This is the tea I've decided to have. It's a T2 Sticky Date Delight, and it sounds incredible. I haven't actually tried this one before, I don't think, and so this will be a tea test as well. It sounds like it's got loose, oh, it's loose leaf. Oh no. Oh, I can't believe I just opened that. Can I use a cafetiere, do you think? Loose leaf tea? Yeah, I don't see why not. Okay, I'm going to use this to make some loose leaf tea. I don't see why this won't work. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Okay, and then we're just going to add water from the kettle. I'm scared it's going to like smash because it's so hot. Then we'll just let it steep. I've never actually used a specific like coffee cafetiere before to make tea, but I don't see why that shouldn't work. Okay, let's just wait for that to brew. Oh, delicious. I may have added too much milk, but still. Let's do a taste test. It smells very spiced. It's very milky. But I love the rooibos is so malty, like it's got a lovely maltiness to it. And it doesn't taste much like a chai. I can taste the date more than I can taste the chai. It's very tasty though. I think this is the perfect drink when you're very cold. When I got back, I did have a whole evening of writing, which was just the most wonderful thing. It was so cozy, and I had my tea, and it was very, very cold, but I always find I focus better in the cold. I don't know if anyone else is the same. I've just written one, two, three, 4 pages for the next chapter. I've got maybe another like 2 pages left of this chapter. And I don't know why I'm updating you, because I'm literally just going to keep on going right now, but it's very fun. After this, I also want to write an Agatha Armitage letter. Oh my gosh, I can hear the rain. Let's have a look. Oh, look. I mentioned this before, but I'm doing a full handwritten draft of my book, like rewriting the whole thing, but handwriting it in this notebook. So by handwriting it, I'm just making sure that the structure works, that the character intentions are consistent between scenes, and it's maybe like a third of the length because I'm not including lots and lots of details. So it's not like a full redraft, but it's really helpful as a writing exercise, and I have found it really useful for just making me feel a bit more confident with the plot as well. So if you are writing a novel, it is something I would recommend. Okay, I've just finished that chapter, and I think I might even make some dinner now, even though it's only like 5:30. I'm going to make some more spaghetti tonight because I have lots of spaghetti and things. Okay, let's boil this. I must say, I both absolutely hate the whistling of a kettle and I love it. Like, it's a very stressful sound, but also I love the nostalgia of it. As I say, we used these kettles a lot when I was a kid, and so it just really reminds me of childhood. There is also something to say for the inconvenience of a kettle like this. Like, I like the fact that it's not necessarily easy. Like, it's more fun because it's not easy. Oh, what's that? Okay, an electric shock. I'm gonna sit by the radiator because it's really chilly. I think I've got a chill. Oh, and if you're wondering, here I'm writing another Agatha Armitage letter, which are the absurd letters that I post on Substack. And it's illustrated by the incredible, extraordinary, amazing Chris Riddell as well, who just completely brings these letters to life. I'm really enjoying this, actually. I'm just about to start the final part. About 80 pages left of this, I think. And I'm surprised at how much I'm loving this. I mainly picked this up because it was written by a North Devon writer, and I'm in North Devon, and I love to read spatially. But I didn't really like Tark the Otter. I've never finished it, but like, I have never been able to get into Tark the Otter, which is, of course, Henry Williamson's most famous work. However, this is exquisite. I love the nature writing. Increasingly, like, I read books and I realise I like to read because I like really vivid, beautiful descriptions of things. And this is like that for sure. There is a plot, but it's almost like every single chapter is its own little plot. They're like vignettes, and the nature writing in it is so exceptional. Like, it goes through seasonally, so in the space of a chapter you might go through 2 months, but there are so many vivid, beautiful descriptions of the landscape, of the birds, of the insects, of the animals. And we see young Willie Madison, he's 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old in each of the respective parts. And he's just so like emotionally invested in the natural world, and I think the best part of this is seeing this world through Willie's eyes, because he's so amazed by everything, and he's so sensitive, and he sees, you know, a dying bird or a dying rabbit and he starts crying. He's so moved by the beauty of things, and the descriptions are so intricate. So it's not just saying, oh, this bird flew overhead, but he knows his bird type, but it's very specific and very detailed, and I just think it captures like the North Devon countryside so beautifully and so well. And this is actually part of a 4-book series, so I'm interested to maybe read at least the next one, but I'm really enjoying this. If you like nature writing, this might be a good one to go for. As I say, it's very like description heavy, and I've got to say I don't really like the plot of it. Like, there is a plot. I don't really like the plot points very much, if I'm honest, and I really like Willie Madison as a character, but I'm not really invested in any of the other characters. However, that's not to say that I don't like the book. And there is still plot, so if you like plot in a book, it's not absent of plot, but my favourite part's the descriptive writing. Anyway, I think I might briefly just go outside, because in the winter, the stars are always very bright, and I'm in the countryside, and so the stars should be very bright here. And it was reading a passage in this about the night sky that made me just really crave going outside to see the stars. So I'm not sure if they're covered by clouds, but hopefully they're not. I'm just gonna go see before I go to bed. And then I do actually need to go to bed, because I'm leaving tomorrow at 9:45. It's not too early, but I also want to go on a brief walk before I leave, and so I'm gonna wake up early. So I bought a coffee yesterday at the shop, which I could have this morning. I'm just going to add about half of hot water, and then I'm going to have avocado toast again, of course. This is my coffee from yesterday. It's just a double espresso. Okay, I'm gonna have one of them now. I'll flip some milk. The coffee at this place was so good that I had to get an espresso shot today. So good. And then of course I'm gonna have avocado toast, which I do have every morning. And I think I'm going to try and read another 20 pages of this just while I'm having my breakfast. So I did wake up a bit later. You know, I said, oh, I'm going to wake up really early and then I'm going to go on a walk to see the sunrise. I did not sleep well at all last night. I think I only got like an hour of sleep. I didn't get to sleep until 6, which is when I was going to get up. So I'd only just fallen asleep when my alarm went off, and so I stayed in bed for an extra hour and a half. So I would actually have got some sleep. So that's why it's not dark outside. I will still go out on a short walk. It just won't be as long as it would have been. And I still need to pack and tidy up. And I've got like an hour and 20 minutes until I've got to go. Oh my gosh, actually not long at all. I do love a good time lapse, so I couldn't resist filming this tidy and pack. It's always just so satisfying. I don't understand what it is about a time lapse. I also made a packed lunch for the train as well. I couldn't decide between a cheese and a hummus sandwich, and I had both, so I packed both.
and then I got the train back home, which was quite bittersweet because I was very sad that this trip was over, and it's just all in all made me very excited to do another solo trip again soon. But thank you so much for joining me on this trip to Devon and Cornwall, and I hope that you have more than just a productive week.